los ángeles esperará. Es el fuego que yo...
What is the deal, beautiful people? My name is Ramon. Welcome to Lifestyles Defined. On this channel, we talk about photography all day, every day. Today's topic, our DSLRs dying. This is something that has been in our inbox for quite some time. Many people on the channel has asked this question. A lot of people I know in person has asked this question. I think it's an interesting question to dissect. I think we are at a time where we need to be very careful and protective about the way we think about our creative tools. I understand why people ask this question. First of all, the rise of the camera phone has been a rough one, and I think that the smartphone and the smartphone's camera is single-handedly responsible for obliterating consumer grade cameras. So that's our little point and shoots and all. We used to have some dope stuff, the cool pics and what was Canon's, the power shots, and Sony had some dope ones. All that's gone. You'd be a fool to go out and buy something like that these days, unless it's something like that RX series, Total Monster, or the TG Rugged series from Panasonic, whatever. Even those are special made things. So I totally get the cell phone came, obliterated all of that, and now we're left with the enthusiast to pro model style cameras, and in comes mirrorless with a whole host of options and features and market employees, and now everyone's looking at Nikon and Canon like, what are you gonna do? And I think it has intensified in the last month. You look about mid 2018, because Canon has came out and said, yeah, that new mirrorless is coming, and so has Nikon. So everyone's kind of like, ooh, okay. So once Canon and Nikon hops on the mirrorless bandwagon, surely DSLRs are going to die. Now, I got a few points here in my OneNote that I want to address about this. I'm not approaching this with as much snark as I would like to, because I think it is a valid question. I think there's credence on both sides on DSLRs going away and DSLRs not going away. And I think, again, we need to just be careful how we think about our creative tools. First of all, the whole notion of something dying, something is a killer, right? Like, oh, here comes the Nikon D850. It's a Sony A7 Mark III killer. What? Why is something always a killer? Like, whatever we do in life, whatever we produce, there's always going to be something that's comparable, something that's close, something that pound for pound, spec for spec can hold its own. But each thing is always and will forever be unique. I hate the fact that everything that comes out has to be a killer, or it has to kill something before it. Why can't it just exist, right? And you see this in a lot of consumer tech. You see this in the smartphones. The Galaxy S9 is an iPhone killer. The iPhone 10 is a Galaxy S10 killer. And we go back and forth like, what? Like, just shut up. Just buy a phone, update your Instagram, send your text messages, and take your ass to sleep. Let's not worry about this killing this one. And this stuff really comes from, one, the marketing and how they employ that they're so much better than the competitor, and then you've got these super fanboys that take that notion, that direction, that narrative from these marketing teams of these companies, and they just hammer it home in everyone's face on YouTube comments, Reddit posts, goddamn bus stops. Like, everyone just like, no, it's not a killer. There's nothing wrong with a DSLR. If you have a DSLR, what you shoot is what you shoot, and there's no man, woman, or child on the face of this planet Earth that can walk in your house and tell you that your DSLR is now dead. What? Don't let anyone push you in a corner to feel like what you're using is obsolete. Don't get me wrong. There's conversations to be had. What I'm using could be better. There are different variations of this both in DSLR and the mirrorless world, that have more features, but that doesn't mean that it's dead. And I really want people to get out of that frame. Like, a DSLR is going to be fine for many years to come. Then there's the ecosystem. A DSLR could never be dead because there are millions of people, millions of photographers who've invested in this ecosystem. And an ecosystem is not about dynamic range and ISO performance. An ecosystem is about a camera, a lens, and a community around it that you can learn what you need to learn from. And then just the ability to get things done and a familiarity. That's an ecosystem. And Nikon and Canon has the strongest ecosystem of all the camera manufacturers, and they have tons of money behind their ecosystems. It's not going anywhere. And like I said, don't let anyone tell you that these things are dying or obsolete when you can go on Craigslist and buy an 85mm 1.2 lens for $800 versus what, Sony's version for $2,100? Nah, you can't tell me anything about that ecosystem. DSLRs have a strong ecosystem and they will be around for a very long time. Then there's dissecting the capabilities of DSLRs themselves. I read so many comments and so many posts from people. You would think that DSLRs are the most useless piece of technology on the face of the planet. It is terrible the way people think about these things. And there are still very real pros to owning a DSLR over mirrorless. First of all, the design, the body. Anytime I review a Canon, the 5D or the 6D, I am oftentimes amazed at how comfortable they are to hold. And I'm not talking weight. Weight is sure, some of these things can be lighter than DSLRs, although when you slap these Sony G Master lenses on your A7 series, it's no lighter than a DSLR. But there's something about the grip on a Canon and prospectively a Nikon that's just comfortable. It just fills your entire palm. Not to mention that these cameras are oftentimes just built like tanks. That is something to be celebrated. That is comfort that the user has that I don't really see in the Sony world. I don't really see in the Olympus world. It's something to be said. There's the optical viewfinder, which I don't know. I don't shoot sports, so this one is less of an issue for me. But if you want to be technical about it, the optical viewfinder will always be superior to a electronic viewfinder, mainly because you're just looking at a mirror image of what you see. It's real time. You don't have to wait for the computer to reproduce what you're seeing, although a lot of the new EVFs are amazing. So that is what it is. And then also part of that optical thing is the autofocus. Say what you want about DSLRs, but they still have the best autofocus. And I think this has been proven by so many people in so many different ways. Then there's the battery life. I don't need to say anything about this because Sony just recently solved this with a big ass battery. But by and large, DSLR shooters enjoy amazing battery life. Now, I'm not here to discuss the cons of DSLRs, and they are some, right? You look at the usually most of them are lacking in the video department for people looking for video features, although there are some monster DSLRs out there for that. They're usually, I guess, general features they can be lacking. Excuse me. Things like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, NFC, GPS, things like focus peaking, zebra, a lot of these niceties that we enjoy from a lot of the new mirrorless cameras. Most DSLRs lack. I think the newer ones that are being released in 2018 come feature packed, but for a long time DSLRs were looked at to be a bit behind in the technology game, and which was arguable because you buy a camera to take pictures, not to sync it to your iPhone to post on Instagram. My overall point here is DSLRs are not going anywhere. DSLRs are still crazy affordable, still crazy durable, and they perform like champions. In fact, all of this new mirrorless talk and this new Sony A this and A that, this is the time that you should be looking for a DSLR, because the prices are going to drop, because people are going to perceive it as a lesser than technology. I remember going through this with my plasma when LED TVs were first coming out, and the prices on plasmas that used to be $3,000-$4,000 just came down to like $800, and it was a superior technology. Up to this day, I still have my Panasonic plasma, and it was superior. The look of it was superior for the refresh rates for gaming, and it was almost 20% the cost of these new LED TVs. Why? Simply because the companies were allowed to drive the narrative to consumers and led them to believe that the yesteryear's technology was just pointless. Don't fall into that trap again. Now, let me make it clear. I am a mirrorless shooter. I have one DSLR, Canon T6i. I don't have anything against my DSLR, but I am firmly in the mirrorless camp because I really, really, really enjoy things like in-body image stabilization and electronical viewfinder. But I say that to get my point across to you guys. Even though I'm squarely in the mirrorless camp, that doesn't mean that DSLRs can't do the damn thing. If you've enjoyed this video, here are 2 more like it. Right in the middle, if you haven't subscribed already, is that subscribe button. Go ahead and click that. Rock out with your boy once again. My name is Ramon, and I'm out of here. Peace.